When the Atlanta Hawks ask you how to sell more tickets to their basketball games, you need to be ready with a good answer. Luckily, I was. Here's what happened. You see, my son loves basketball, so I called the Atlanta Hawks to get season tickets to their games. I was talking to the team rep about tickets. I'll just call him Dan for this story. Now, during our conversation, I must have said something that caught his attention because he said, "You sound like you're in sales," which of course I am. So I said, "Yes, I'm in sales and marketing. In fact, one of the main things I do is consult with companies and businesses to improve their sales and their marketing." That's your first important lesson here, by the way. You never know when a great opportunity is going to arise for your business, so always be ready. What I said about helping other companies improve their sales obviously caught his attention because he's a salesman himself. His job is to try to fill every seat in the arena for all Atlanta Hawks games. So he asked me, how should I sell more season tickets to the Hawks? And from the way he said it, I could tell it was kind of a joke. I think he was saying it more as an icebreaker. But here's the thing. I love sales and marketing, and I love a sales and marketing challenge. And I love helping people and businesses market themselves better and sell more. So I said, well, let's talk about it. One of the first things I told him about during our conversation was an event from a few years ago where I sold $1 million in sales in a single day. He was like, "Are you serious? I don't make $1 million in sales in 6 months." Well, that was my opportunity to share something really important with him. And that's what I want to share with you too, because it applies to your business or company as much as it applies to the Atlanta Hawks. I told Dan the reason that it took him 6 months to make $1 million is because he was selling individual tickets to individual people. Or in my case, he was selling season tickets to just one guy. The problem with a system like that is he could be a phenomenal salesman and sell a pair of tickets to every person he spoke to, and it would still take him months to make $1 million. That's not a reflection of his skill at selling. It just means that he's targeting the wrong type of people to sell to. For example, the tickets he sold me were about $5,000. That means if he wants to get to $1 million in sales, he would have to do the same thing with 200 other people. I asked him if he knew 200 other people right now who could spend $5,000 on season tickets. And of course he said no. Those people aren't ready to spend that kind of money on sports tickets. So that's not an efficient way to get to $1 million in sales. But you know what would be a more efficient way? Selling corporate suites. I asked him about the price of a corporate suite and he said it's about $100,000. So selling a corporate suite would be like making 20 sales the size of the one he made with me. So a corporate client is worth 20 times more than even a high-end individual client like me. That means that 10 corporate clients translates to $1 million in sales. So I did some quick math and this is what I figured out. If Dan has a success rate of 50%, then he would need to talk to 20 corporate clients so that he can close 50% of them to get to $1 million. But for individual clients like me, he would have to talk to 400 people to get 200 sales. And that's assuming that Dan has an amazing close rate like 50%. If it's lower than 50%, the number of people that he has to talk to jumps even higher. He understood my point and he agreed with the math, but I could tell that something was making him a little hesitant. So I asked him what he was thinking, and he said it was a large amount, and he was unsure how many people would be interested at that price. And that's what I told him, one of the best pieces of sales advice that I've ever gotten. It's easier to sell something the more expensive it is. Now, I know how this sounds. It seems counterintuitive and maybe even counterproductive, but it's 100% true. Every single time I've raised my prices, the only thing that's happened is I've made more sales and I've made more money. Part of the reason for that is because you don't need as many clients because each client is more valuable. But there's another reason too, and it's called perception of value. Here's an example. If I wanted to sell you a Lamborghini, I shouldn't try to sell it to you for $10,000. In fact, it's suspiciously low. Your first question would be, is it stolen or what's wrong with it? I need to sell you the Lamborghini at a price that actually reflects its value. But since a higher price limits your number of potential clients, it means you have to find higher dollar clients. So here's the good news for Dan. His basketball team is located in Atlanta, which is a great town for successful businesses. If a company in Atlanta is doing $100 million a year, then $100,000 really isn't that much to spend. So my suggested strategy was basically this. Step 1, make a list of the biggest companies in Atlanta by revenue. Be as ambitious as you want. Find out what the top 1,000 companies by revenue are in Atlanta. Step 2, go to LinkedIn and find the names of the chief marketing officers for each of those companies, as well as the directors of marketing, corporate communications, and brand engagement. Get all of their names. Step 3, use a program called Hunter.io. It's a tool that helps you find and verify email addresses. Use it to find the contact information for the whole list of people that you just found on LinkedIn. And step 4, contact everybody on that list about giving them free stuff. Now, I know that sounds crazy, but hear me out. The Atlanta Hawks have all kinds of merch sitting around that they could give out for promotional purposes. Bobbleheads and ball caps and jerseys, things like that. I told Dan he should use some of that merch to give away strategically to these people. He should contact them and tell them that he wants to send them a special limited edition gift from the Hawks. Also, if he's able to verify that the person has a family, then he can say he has a gift for his kids as well. What this does is triggers the human instinct for reciprocity. This is an important lesson to know. Reciprocity is the human instinct to repay a kind gesture. The goal is to create responses from these people, so you can send them a gift, and then that'll open up the lines of communication between you and them. Of course, not everyone's going to respond, but the Hawks brand is well known and respected, so it's pretty safe to say that you're going to get at least a 25% response rate. If you have a list of 1,000 potential contacts, 25% is 250 responses. That's a great group to work from. So you send out these awesome gifts, and then you move on to step 5, which is make sure to follow up and verify that they received them. You can even offer fun things like telling them if they take a picture of their kid with the bobblehead or the hat, you'll put it up on the big screen in the arena and send them a picture of it. Whatever it takes to nurture the relationship. And finally, step 6, activate that reciprocity. You send them a message that says, hey, I'm glad you loved the gifts, and listen, I've got a really cool idea that I wanted to get your opinion on. Do you have maybe 15 or 20 minutes where we could hop on a quick call and I can tell you about it and see what you think? Again, not everybody will say yes, but you have 250 potential chances to get 10 corporate suite sales. Now here's the 100% most important part of this entire thing, and I told Dan that this is key to making these sales. Companies are different from individuals, which means that the pitch has to be different to get them to buy. You have to find what appeals to them. For example, with my son and I, Dan's strategy was to sell the experience. It would be great days at the game for the two of us to remember. Those memories will last a lifetime, but that's not going to work for the marketing director of a huge company. He's not trying to make money, he's trying to make profits. So this is where you break down the numbers for them. Now, according to Dan, a corporate suite has 16 seats in it, so that's 16 seats for every game of the season. But the suite also includes other events at the arena, like concerts and things like that. In total, they'll get 16 seats at 82 events. That's over 1,300 tickets. When you take $100,000 divided by 1,300, you get just over $75 per seat. Suddenly, that doesn't sound like so much money to spend. Every one of those $75 tickets becomes a potential premium or upgrade. Each one is an opportunity to turn it into an ROI for the company. You could give a ticket to a longtime client as a thank you gift right before they're supposed to renew a contract. A renewed contract is probably worth a lot more than $75 to a company doing $100 million or more. They could give away free tickets to the Hawks for the first 50 clients that sign up with their company. A new client is likely worth more than $75 to these companies. You could give away a pair of concert tickets to whichever member of your sales team got the most sales each quarter. Now your sales team is motivated to sell even more for your company, and it only costs you $150 for 2 tickets. Now this company's starting to see all the ways that they can make a profit off this $100,000 investment. That's what I told Dan. The key to getting corporate sales is to help them understand that this is not an expense. It's a marketing and revenue opportunity that will provide a return on their investment. And that's the big takeaway for your company as well. No matter what you're selling, there's probably a way to be more efficient with who's buying it. Put some thought into who would have pockets deep enough to buy your product in large amounts. Once you know who these potential clients are, then you can start thinking about what angles make sense for them so that they can profit by ordering these large amounts of tickets. So that's the story. I bought Hawks tickets for my son and I. Dan got some great advice on how to sell out his corporate suites, and now you can get some great advice on how to make your business more profitable. And if you watch the Hawks games on TV, keep an eye out in the crowd. Maybe you'll see me there. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.